In everybody, Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at JLightsey7. I post content on there all the time. Now, the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul fight is a circus that we all expected. If you expected anything besides a circus that come from the Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul / Jake Paul fight, I don't know if you know Floyd Mayweather or if you know the Paul brothers. Now, at their little introductory press conference, little fight build-up press conference that was supposed to be for Floyd and Logan Paul, Jake Paul stole the show. Jake Paul is Logan Paul's little brother, and he is the one that's been out here knocking dudes out. You know, he knocked out Nate Robinson. He knocked out Ben Askren. And so he is known as just like a menace of boxing. He's the menace of boxing, and he is getting under Floyd's skin. He got under Floyd's skin the other day during the initial press conference, and he actually stole Floyd's hat. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you what took place at the press conference with Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather when it was supposed to be a press conference about Jake Paul's brother, Logan. Now, this is what took place, kind of like a little face-off between... So he stole Floyd's hat and he proceeded to get mobbed by Floyd's gigantic security guards. And so this led to this. That's Logan Paul. This guy, this tall, blonde, white dude, that's Logan Paul. That's Jake Paul's brother. And Floyd at this point is steaming, to say the least. So Floyd's hot. Floyd's hot. By the way, this is my sports page, VF Sports Show on Instagram. That's VF Sports Show on Instagram. So Jake Paul, to take this a step further, you know, he had a lot of fun with this because this is free publicity for him. So obviously he posted the clip. He got over 6.5 million views from his page alone. And then he went and proceeded to get a gotcha hat tattoo because that's what he said when he took Floyd's hat off his head. He yelled, "Gotcha hat." So he proceeded to get a gotcha hat tattoo on his body, and that is what they're doing to build up the hype for the fight between, not even between Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather. They're building up the fight between Jake Paul or Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather that'll take place on June 6th. Now, this fight will have all types of circus besides this around it. Chad Johnson is going to be on the, a.k.a. Chad Ochocinco, will be on the undercard. He could potentially be fighting NBA star Nick Young or NBA star and All the Smoke podcast co-host Matt Barnes. So that could also be taking place. And Jake Paul is just a troll. Like, that's what he does. Like, so he posted this and it lists all the things that he's done basically in the last month. All right. He says on here, it says FaceTime with Donald Trump. Bieber performs in my fight, DM'd by Drake, sold 1.5 pay-per-view buys. That's top 10 all time, by the way. His fight against Ben Askren sold 1.5 pay-per-view buys. Shut down UFC 261 because he showed up there, and then he gets into it with Daniel Cormier, almost fight Daniel Cormier. He was announcing at the UFC 261, and Daniel Cormier, as you know, was a UFC legend. You know, he was I think a middleweight or a heavyweight champion several times over. He could never be John Bones Jones, but these are all the things Jake Paul has done over the course of the last month, right? And now he can add to that list, getting to steal Floyd Mayweather's hat, right? So this is the circus that comes with going against YouTubers, right? Like, but this is what Floyd wants. He wouldn't have took this fight against Logan Paul if he didn't think like a clip like with Jake Paul gets you 6.5 million views, right? Now, the key to this is turning those views into buys, turning those views into pay-per-view buys. And Floyd believes, and he knows it, and it's proven, especially after that Ben Askren fight. Jake Paul and Ben Askren sold 1.5 million pay-per-view buys, which is top 10 all-time in boxing. That is top 10 all-time in boxing. Now, in that top 10 list, Jake Paul actually posted that on his Instagram. In that top 10 list, there's like 5 Floyd Mayweather fights on there. There's the Floyd versus Conor, which was, you know what I'm saying? Like Floyd versus Conor, Floyd versus Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd versus Canelo Alvarez. And there's a couple other ones on there that I can't think of off the top of my head, but this is what Floyd wants. And so he knows Jake and Logan can sell pay-per-view buys. He wouldn't have got in the ring with this guy if he didn't think he could sell pay-per-views. And so now you're going to see more and more circus leading up to this fight. This is the same thing we saw with Conor McGregor. This is textbook Floyd Mayweather. Remember Conor McGregor? This is pre-pandemic, right? They went on a nationwide tour to some of the biggest arenas in the country to promote their fight. They went to the Barclays. I want to say they went to Staples Center. They went somewhere down in like Texas or something, like to promote this fight and to get people amped up so they have pay-per-view buys. The Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight is like in the top 3 with over 4 million pay-per-view buys. Over 4 million pay-per-view buys. The Floyd Pacquiao is number 1, by the way. That was the other one. So that's 5. I said it was Floyd Canelo, Floyd Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Conor, and Floyd Pacquiao. Those are like the top 4. Those are 4 of the top 5. And I think he's got one more in there somewhere. So yeah, this is what you're going to see. And Floyd Logan Paul is going to be in the top 10. Floyd's going to add another one in the top 10 because so many people, even though it's exhibition and it won't count against his record, so many people want to see Mayweather lose. So many people have a vested interest in seeing Floyd Mayweather get knocked out. Now, we know that's not going to happen, but the way he is able to promote his product and the fact that Logan Paul is like 5 or 6 inches taller than him, and the fact that Floyd is 150 pounds, really between 150 and 160, and Logan Paul's like 200 pounds, so he's 40 pounds heavier, 5, 6 inches taller. People want to believe that Floyd can actually lose to this guy. They really want to believe, even though he's 40 in his 40s and Logan Paul's in his mid-20s, they want to believe that a YouTuber can knock out one of the greatest boxers in the history of boxing. Not only just one of the greatest boxers in the history of boxing, one of the greatest defensive boxers. Floyd don't get hit in the history of boxing, but you want to believe it. You want to see it. You want to see it happen. And this ain't even the better Paul brother. Jake, the one that stole his hat and was doing all of that, that's the better Paul brother. Logan Paul is 0-1 in his fights, and he fought a YouTuber. He's 0-1 in his boxing debut, and he fought a guy that does what he does, which is YouTube. And he lost. And now he's going to get in the ring with one of the greatest boxers, even though he's 6 inches taller, even though he's 40, 50 pounds heavier. This is one of the greatest boxers in the history of boxing. You're going to get in the boxing ring with him. It's going to get ugly. But I mean, everybody has a vested interest. And then after seeing that and the Gotcha hat and Jake Paul selling merch that says Gotcha hat, and you see he got the tattoo that says Gotcha hat. Like, this is the circus that Floyd Mayweather wanted to create around his name and around this fight to get buys, to get people to tune in to Showtime on June 6th and see him knock out Logan Paul. And then he'll probably end up setting up an exhibition match against Jake Paul. And also, that's why you get guys like Chad Ochocinco, Nick Young, Matt Barnes on the undercard. So, it's a lot going on, but I can't wait to see it. Once again, I'm Jeff Lighty Jr. at the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at VF Sports Show right there, at VF Sports Show for all kinds of sports content. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you.